All right, let's do it. Good morning, Powur Hitters. Today is Tuesday, 10 a.m., February 15th. Hope you guys all had a wonderful Valentine's Day last night. My name is Jarrett McAllister. I am your mentor and co-host, alongside my forever Valentine, Mr. Jonathan Brunasso. What's up, bro?
You're too sweet, Jarrett. You have such a big heart, man.
I'm trying to keep it positive after watching those LA Rams
after the Rams won, right?
And I just got to say, just real quick, man, congratulations. I know that's been your team the past like 4 weeks, so that's really awesome. And you guys got a Super Bowl win.
I'm gonna kick you off this chat.
4 weeks.
Hey, I always say I'm not a sports guy. I support local teams. I'm LA boy. I support local teams. I'm too busy making $1 million to pay attention to sports. So
I got you. I'm just busting your chops, man. No, honestly, congrats. I know like half the people on this call are from down there, and that's awesome. It's great to get a championship in the region.
Well, I hope you had a good Super Bowl weekend and a good Valentine's, everybody. So let's kick it off with some success stories, Jarrett.
Yeah, let's do it. Dawn, you have one, correct?
I do. So I was in town for the Super Bowl and I went to the mentor training. And afterwards, me and my mentor went door knocking and got a lead. And actually just this morning got the response back for a Zoom call set up for Thursday. So it was a very successful training and got a lead from it. So it was pretty exciting.
Right on. Action never equals zero. Right? Effort never equals zero. That's great. Taking action, already getting leads, setting up appointments.
Don, how many doors did you knock, and was there like a line that worked well?
We only knocked like one neighborhood. So there was, honestly, we happened to run into this woman who had already gotten a proposal from Sunrun. And she said that she had reached out to Tesla and another company to get another bid and nobody responded to her. So it was just like we started to introduce ourselves and she's like, oh, great. I'm looking for another person to tell me, give me a proposal. So awesome. It was great.
Awesome, Don. I'm sure you're going to crush that proposal with our better warranties, our better panels and inverters and loans and everything. It'll be easy to beat Sunrun. So. Oh,
for sure. Yeah, she showed us the proposal from Sunrun, and so we got to see. We already beat it. So there should be no reason why she doesn't go with us.
Awesome.
Right on. Great job, Don.
Thanks.
Angela, you have a success story you'd like to share with us?
I do. I'm kind of new here with Powur, and I absolutely love it. So I did some door knocking in my neighborhood. It was the first time I went out. I was out for about 40 minutes and picked up 2 electric bills, closed one deal just last week, a couple days after I got the electric bill. And I just got my email that I am Sales Pro status. Whew. So I'm pretty stoked. Yeah.
Fire.
Yeah. I'll probably still do some deals with mentors for sure. But I have the ability to go ahead and do them. So I'm pretty excited.
Wow. Congrats, Angela.
Thank you.
Just a few months ago, Robin and I installed solar on Angela's house. And I think it's that award-winning smile and personality that probably helps you out on those doors.
Well, and I'm so excited about it. So the biggest thing, my approach to my neighbors is, hey, look, I'm your neighbor around the corner. And they always say I have the pink house, but my house isn't pink, it's peach. But anyway, the peach house around the corner on Cedar, and I just got solar, and I'm so excited about how much money I'm saving. I did Nancy's next door. Now I'm doing Tomas's here on the corner. You guys need to get on this. And they're just like, okay. So yeah, I'm going to take the whole neighborhood for sure.
You just sold me right now. Let's go.
That's beautiful. And one of the sayings that I love, and it applies for people who are brand new in the industry, is ignorance on fire overcomes intelligence on ice, right? A lot of people, they want to know every little aspect of solar before they go out and talking about it, but they're not taking action. Angela, you're new to the industry. You probably don't know every single thing when it
Yeah,
comes to
very
solar, and
little.
that's okay. You don't need to, right? But that excitement, right? That belief, that is what you took out to the doors and created a deal. Great job. That is amazing.
And I'll tell you one more thing. The biggest thing is I believe in this. I've seen the results of it. And that's, I think, the biggest sales tool I have is that I got solar. I love it. And my experience is my testimonial.
Boom. I love it.
Thank you.
That's awesome. Great work, Angela. And
Thank you.
the most exciting thing, end of February, March, April, May, and June, everybody, is our highest sun hours, our highest credits going to be earned. The next few months, solar is going to really kick butt. So just keep that in mind. Sandy,
if I could I chime in here for a quick second? I know I always talk, I guess I was talking when I came out of the womb, so it's never stopped. But I got two mentees from Tito and Scott's team, Kareem and Sergio. And I can tell you as a mentor, when you train somebody and they take everything that you are saying and suck it up like a sponge, it really means a lot. And they actually just both closed 2 deals over the weekend.
wow.
So that's 4 deals over the weekend. And, I'm happy for them. And, they'll be ready to be on their own. And I think that's the key as a mentor is really show your mentees, let them touch and feel, let them present. You're the lifeguard. You save them when you need to save them. So then when they're ready to go, they're ready. So big shout out to them. I don't know if they both have day jobs. So I don't know if they're on here today.
They both have day jobs and they both made $5,000 to $6,000 times 2. Jesus.
Boom.
Can I share something real quick?
Please, Isela.
Okay, so I've got some, I'm really excited. I was hoping he was gonna be in the call today. So through my BNI group, I already have one proposal that we're gonna close, but through my BNI group, I met a construction gentleman and then he introduced me at an inaugural playground that I went to for him, a gentleman. And I thought, oh, he's looking for solar. No, he was hungry to join a solar company. And so he joined, his name is Victor Velasquez. David closed his first mentor deal and I'm really excited for him. He is so thankful and grateful that we have, because he was an appointment setter. And so they would just give him whatever, whenever, they would throw him $1,000 here and there for his commission, but he never knew when it was coming. So he's really excited and I'm very thankful for David doing that. And then also one of my teammates just onboarded 4 EXP realtors that I'm really excited about. So yeah, so it's coming along. So I'm really excited. And to jump off of Don's comment, I am proposing a Sunrun competitive quote for a 10.8 kilowatt system. And hands down, we beat the price, like no problem with it, with a great margin. So I'm really excited to present that too. So
Damn.
I'm coming along quietly, but I'm here.
Isela on fire. It's like you work with JC and you just absorb it all. Damn.
100%. 100%. I know a lot, so that's great.
Kicking butt. I freaking love that from BNI networking, her contractor introduced her to someone that's hungry to join a solar company from BNI. You think that $700 annual fee for BNI is worth it for her right now? Fuck yeah.
I
All
have
right.
a success story that I want to share.
Sandy, please. And then we'll move on.
Yeah, so I live in Georgia, right? So I traveled to North Carolina to door knock. I never done it and I did it. And then I chose a neighborhood and I'm knocking on doors and I got one person interested in solar. She was walking with her dog and her son. And then I just approached her. And then I got her lead and I knocked in another door and I got another lead. I have an appointment for tomorrow. But then I was going to another neighborhood and then I decided to go back because I forgot to put my door hangers on the doors that people are not there. And then the police stopped me and then said, "What are you doing, ma'am?" And I said, "Well, I'm offering solar to people, and then he said, "Oh, you can't do this here." And then I said, "Why not?" He said, "Because you need a permit to solicit." And then I said, "No kidding." I said, I want to see your driver's license and stuff. And then I gave him my driver's license. I said, sir, I'm from Georgia. I had no idea. I'm just, offering people to save money in their electric bill. By the way, are you a homeowner? And then he said, yes. I said, well, how much is your electric bill? He said, oh, it's $60, $70. I said, I'm so sorry, I cannot help you go solar. But if you know anybody, I can give you $1,000 if they go solar. His face lit up, he put a smile. He said, give me your business card. And then I said, great. And then he softened up with me and said, I'm not going to give you a citation, but you need to go get a permit if you continue to solicit. So it was a good experience.
Wow. That's amazing. That's an amazing testimonial, Sandy. Congrats to you. That takes a lot of determination and grit, perseverance. And she reverse sold a cop, for Christ's sake. That's awesome. Wow.
Really quick, Jonathan, I just want to give a quick welcome to one of our newest members here on the team, Jerry Valladares, who's actually making a career change. So I just want to give him a shout out. He's here today. So that's all I wanted to share, guys.
Awesome. Thanks, Louis. All right.
Those are some great success stories, JB. That got me excited.
I'm so pumped up. Yeah.
Can I shout a quick success story, JB, and a quick welcome to a new team member?
Yes, sir, Steven. Last one. Go for it.
Awesome. So I want to welcome, we have Matt Catella, who just signed up today, 10 minutes ago. He's a young 25-year-old hustler. He's got lots of sales experience, and he sees the future of solar. So I wanted to welcome him and get him on the call with JB and all these other rock stars. So welcome, Matt. And that reminds me of a story from Aparna, who is one of the trainers at Tesla, who's now with Powur. She got pulled over, and she not only got the one cop signed up for solar, she went back and presented to the whole police department and got 15 or 20 cops signed up and did a solar party at the police station and fundraised for the police, police fundraiser. So everyone you meet everywhere is a potential solar customer, and we can help people we meet everywhere we go, which is pretty amazing. So yeah. I'm stoked to be a part of it and want to welcome Matt to the crew.
Awesome.
Well, welcome, Matt. And you said that story totally reminded me of a Aparna's story as well. So way to call that out. That's great.
Yeah. And for those of you that haven't seen Aparna's training or story, it's on my YouTube. Just scroll down and you can find Aparna's training. She's an amazing human being. And she works with Give Power, the nonprofit charity. All right, cool. I'd love to keep hearing more. Those were amazing fire. So congratulations to you all. I have a few quick announcements, and then we need to get to our training today. Thank you, Jarrett, like always, for kicking things off.
Yep.
All right, so today, obviously, our Tuesday weekly training, 10 Pacific, 12 Central, everyone's welcome. Also, Solar Consultant, Solar Sales Tuesday with Andy Smith, and we're gonna hear from different leaders rotating every Tuesday, 12 Pacific. And then EnPhase, REC, Sunlight, Solar Edge, and Sunnova all have standing office hours in powurcalendar.com. You can literally go and talk to the representatives from the top brands and companies and ask your questions. So don't bug Jarrett or don't bug other Mike, try to go to these trainings first and really learn and take advantage of these resources, all on powurcalendar.com. For those of you that are new, of course, on Thursdays, please take a 12 p.m. or 5 p.m. Pacific onboarding with Paul Rossano, the onboarding department. He dropped some nuggets last week training us on what to expect for onboarding and how to win with onboarding. So definitely make sure to take that. Next week, mark your calendars. The 22nd on Tuesday, Charles Thompson will be training us on enterprise. Just for this team, Charles Thompson will be training on enterprise. I can't stress enough. I just had lunch yesterday in Dallas with a guy that has 120 sales reps. He does 100 installations in California per month. And he's talking about enterprise. I might have him try to meet with Charles or maybe even Jonathan Budd. And Kiara, I know, huge shout out to her. She just recruited 2 enterprises. One enterprise has 50 potential sales reps in their organization. And I know Charles Thompson just recruited 8 installers using Enterprise onto the platform. So I can't stress enough, Enterprise for roofers, solar dealers, companies, maybe a brokerage. It's really, really valuable, and it's really going to change the game. So next week, Tuesday, please try to be on with Charles. And much, much more on powercalendar.com. The Freedom Tour, which I just got back from Texas events, is now through April. It's all year long. Powercalendar.com/events. We've got Texas events, Orlando coming up, Vegas. If Scott's on here, he can tell us in a second. North Carolina. We're shooting for a Mentor Factory 2.0 in Vegas. JC and I are going to meet this Friday to discuss more events in California. And then Power World, July 15th and 16th, the first ever 2-day in-person event. It's going to be amazing. About 1,500 people maximum. Make sure to register power.com/world. And for any other training ideas, if you want to host a training, get some exposure, you're a mentor, let's get you training a topic for this team. Real quick, the Freedom Tour, North Carolina tonight, in Charlotte, Stockton tonight. Some of you are going. Tell Tom Cotter I said hi. We have North Carolina tomorrow. We have Fresno on the 17th. North Carolina again on the 18th with Bobby Smith. North Carolina the 19th, and then Vegas on the 24th. Scott, if you're out there, I'd love to hear from you on Vegas real quick. So Vegas is the 24th, and then Saturday training the 26th. So Scott, what do you see happening in Vegas for the 24th and 26th?
Hold on, let me get my camera here. Sorry, I'm multitasking over here. Good morning. So we're pretty excited. We've got for the 24th and 26th this month, we've got, I am co-branding with national leaders, Jeff Martin and Don Crawford. There's going to be Larry McKinney, Don Crawford, Jeff Martin, myself, and another mentor in Vegas. We're going to have a op meeting on Thursday night, and then we're doing a op meeting in Super Saturday on the 26th. We're pretty excited about it. We've got a nice venue that we're contracting out for the next few months, and
Cool.
yeah, we're looking to slam out Vegas. It's a great place to build, and yeah, absolutely.
Beautiful. Awesome, Scott. I'm going to try to see if I can go to one of those events. I'll let you know maybe by the end of the week, but I want to go party in Vegas for one of these events.
We'd love to have you. And then then Charles is coming in March, on March 19th also.
Okay, beautiful. Very cool, Scott. Thank you, sir.
Absolutely.
And then March 5th, guys, Orlando. There's going to be some Orlando events coming as well. And then another thing JC and I are going to meet on is like collaborating on events, Southern California, San Diego, make it consistent every other month. All the leaders or mentors could chip in like $400 or $500. We'll have lunch, we'll have a happy hour, we'll have a nice hotel, we'll have a DJ. So more to come on that, but definitely expect some consistency across the board, especially hopefully in Southern California. All right, cool. With that said, I've cut into Mike's time, but Mike Patterson, if you haven't seen his name, read the newsletter, this guy is amazing. He is a firefighter, I believe, and he's discovered power through a friend, Brian, in Florida. Crazy story, but he's kicking ass, guys. He's selling a ton of batteries. He knows Sunnova very well. He's selling a lot of deals. He's mentoring people. He probably knows Florida better than most out there. He won't admit this, but he made over $40,000 in 1 month with power, which is amazing. So I'm super excited, Mike, to have you on, do some training on batteries, which I think really is the future of solar to a certain extent. So it's very valuable to learn about it.
Yeah, absolutely. Happy to be here. And it's definitely the future here if they take away our net metering like they're trying to.
Yep.
All right, let's
Take it
get this. All right, you able to see the screen?
Yep.
All right, perfect. So you already introduced me, but real quick, I'm a full-time special operations firefighter paramedic. I've only been with Power since July. I came over from a car company that happens to sell solar. I was a customer first, so I shopped around. I wanted whole home battery backup because of my job. We don't have gas lines here. I couldn't do a generator, but I needed the house to function when we have a hurricane or something and I'm deployed. In December, I made the top 20, which is pretty awesome. I didn't find out about that until they called me for the newsletter. And like you said, I put batteries on almost all my pitches. Almost all my personal deals end up closing with batteries, but I'm dealing with a lot of fellow first responders, military. They like to call us preppers, and they're probably right. So, why go with batteries? Why add that to your system? For me, energy security was my number one driving factor. I probably wouldn't have gotten a solar system if it wasn't for the batteries. That was what made me even look in the first place. The customers you interact with usually have one of two motivations. Like me, they're either looking for energy security. They don't have trust in the grid. They live in a storm-prone area. We're talking a lot to people in Texas, the Panhandle of Florida, stuff like that. And they're cautious of future disasters, whether natural or man-made. They just want to protect their home, keep everything operating should anything happen. Option number two is cost savings. And this is a little more difficult to achieve with batteries right now. Obviously they're not cheap, but they allow you to take advantage of time of use rates, which I know from just hearing you guys, that's a lot more common out west. They are starting to push that to us right now. But the batteries can be programmed to minimize what you're basically purchasing at peak times. It's basically load shifting. So, or peak shifting. So you're going to produce your power stored in the battery. And then during what you program as your peak hours, you're going to pull from the battery, and then your off peak time, you'll pull from the grid. So biggest comparison you'll always have people asking about is batteries versus generators. What's better? Obviously generators are cheaper, but batteries have little to no moving parts depending what brand we talk about. There's no maintenance, there's no fuel or oil to have to change or refuel or anything like that. They recharge almost infinitely from the sun if you size it properly, and the homeowner's responsible with their usage, and they're silent. So, some HOAs have limitations on noise and things like that. Generators, on the other hand, if you're on a gas line, in theory, you have unlimited fuel if the gas line remains operational. Texas last year kind of proved that's not always the case. Without a gas line, you're really limited, whether it's diesel or propane. What you have on hand is what you have. And after a major storm, here we're talking about hurricanes, after 3 days of running a propane generator, you're not getting refueled. It's not going to happen. They're also combustion engines, just like your car. So they require maintenance, they require repair. They need to run fairly regularly. If you think about your car, how well would that work if you ran it once a year? Probably not that well. There's a lot of moving parts, a lot of things that can fail, a lot of things that wear out. So there's a lot more points of failure than a battery has. They also tend to be very noisy. And like I said, there's some HOA limitations. Plus, people don't like hearing that noise when they're trying to sleep. So here at Powur, we have a couple different storage solutions. The EnPhase battery we've had for a while. This is a picture that I included just to show that they can be mounted outside. They're fully sealed units. There's no moving parts. I would probably keep them out of direct sunlight, but they are fully rated to be outside. Our EnPhase batteries are an AC battery. They come in 3 and 10 kilowatt hour increments. The 10 is actually just 3 of the 3s under one case. This part's really huge for me as a hazmat tech. They're lithium iron phosphate batteries. There's no cobalt in them, unlike most of the electric car batteries. Because of that, there's no need for active cooling. So there's no cooling fan. It's all passive cooling. They're a whole lot safer than the cobalt batteries. There's no chance of runaway thermal reaction, which is where the battery overheats, which causes it to overheat more, and eventually catch on fire. Like I said, they're fully sealed because there's no cooling fan. You don't need to move any air through it. It's all radiant cooling. So you can put them interior or exterior. And then they're field serviceable. I'll show you a picture right here. This is a 10 kilowatt hour battery, and you can see it's actually three 3 kilowatt hour batteries under one case. If one of these were to fail, you still have 2 of them. And you'll see on the top, these may look familiar. Each of the 3s has 4 microinverters. If one of these fails, you still have 11 in your whole battery. So there's a lot more points of failure, a lot more redundancy. That's great for preppers like me. And also it means that it's field serviceable. If this fails, they just come out, take that part off, put it on in the field. A lot of the other companies, they have to diagnose it, ship it off site. It takes a lot longer. You're down for a lot longer. We also recently added the Solar Edge battery. also 10 kilowatt hour increment. This one is a DC battery. So you'll see it's a lot smaller of a unit. It's more compact. Maybe you could say it looks a little better. But we have 10 and 20, we're about to have 30. The inverter in theory can do 3. It's just waiting on a software update. You have to pair these with the SolarEdge Energy Hub, which right now we only have the 7600. SolarEdge does make some other energy hubs. We just don't currently have them. This battery does have cobalt in it, which is why it's smaller. Cobalt batteries are great for electric cars because you need to fit as much electricity in a small space as you can, but it makes them more expensive, less stable. They need more cooling, things like that. They also don't last as long. The iron phosphate batteries have 4 times as many charge and discharge cycles before they hit that magic 70% number. On the flip side, this battery has a higher peak and sustained power output. The reason for that is instead of running through 12 microinverters, it's running through a 7600 watt inverter, your SolarEdge inverter, the same one that's powering the roof PV. Downside to that, though, is you can't combine. That 7600 watt inverter is your choke point. So it has to convert all of your solar output and all of the battery output. Where with EnPhase, you've got inverters on both, so you can, in theory, add it together if you are producing. DC batteries do have a higher efficiency because you're not converting repeatedly. An AC battery, the power is produced on the roof in DC, switches right there at the microinverter to AC, comes to the battery, goes through the microinverter again, comes back to DC, it's stored, and then when you need it, it has to go back to AC. For these SolarEdge batteries, it's produced on the roof in DC, comes to the energy hub, bypasses the inverter, so it's not converted, goes straight into the battery, still is DC, so there's no conversion. The only time it gets converted is when it pulls back out to be used, and it goes through that same inverter converted to AC. So you do lose a little bit less power in a worst case scenario, doomsday scenario, that could be important. As far as the capabilities, you can install whole home or critical load backups. I always suggest put a sub panel in it. Even if you're trying to do what's essentially a whole home backup, this allows you to shed low priority loads during long outages. If it's stormy, you're not making great sunlight, there's no reason you need to run a dryer. There's no reason you need to run a hot tub or a pool or something like that. It lets you go and shut those loads off so you're not draining your battery with things that don't matter, which could cause you to deplete it, and next thing you know, your refrigerator's out. So even my whole homes, I do sub panels. What can be backed up is determined by the power output. So for either of the brands, more batteries are required for larger loads. Like I mentioned, the SolarEdge can, in theory, support larger loads with fewer batteries than the EnPhase can. The length of the backup duration is also determined by the battery size. That's kind of obvious. They're both 10 kilowatt hour increments. The more of that you have stored, the longer the battery is going to last with a certain charge. Also, and a lot of people forget about this part, your PV size really matters here. Sometimes it's more economical to oversize the PV rather than add more batteries. And by doing so, you're basically taking some load off the battery and you're recharging the battery quicker, even in suboptimal conditions. So depending on the roof, depending on what it is that the homeowner wants to be prepared for, sometimes that's a better option rather than adding that third or fourth battery. Also, I do want to point out, use some caution. There's different municipalities out there with outdated limitations, I'd say, on batteries. They like to consider them basically as generators, which they're not. There's a lot more technology in them. And sometimes they'll refuse to look at the capabilities that the manufacturers say. So before you go making promises, just know what your local AHJ is going to allow you to do. General rule of thumb I have for EnPhase batteries, and this is by no means gospel, you're still going to want to come back and do the load calculations, but take how many major loads you're trying to back up. Major load being an air conditioner, a well pump, basically anything with a 240 volt power input with a motor or a compressor. Okay, so take those, add one, and that's how many batteries you need. So if you have no major loads, you need one of the 10s. If you have one major load, so just a single AC, you need 2. Like I said, this is just a rule of thumb. A large air conditioner, you might need 3, and so on. You can keep going with that. This is not accounting for variables like backup time, limitations, or the new smart breakers like EnPhase just rolled out, which could in theory allow you to take a smaller battery and during times of good power output, run more than that battery alone could support. That brings us to the IQ load controller. This is the smart breaker. It's got a couple different settings you can turn on and off based on battery state of charge, based on time of day. So you can have certain breakers set to run only during sunlight hours. You can have breakers set to turn off automatically when your battery gets below a certain point. Basically what I mentioned earlier with getting rid of those less critical loads, it's doing it automatically, or you can do it from your phone, from your app. This is brand new, just came out. It's a really good idea. If you're going to be trying to do a sunlight backup or a 3 kilowatt-hour backup, you absolutely need this. It's not automatically included despite some of the promotional material. A lot of the installers aren't even familiar with it. So communicate with your project manager. Make sure they know that you need this as part of your system. So with EnPhase, we've got the 7s, we have the 8s. Big misconception here. You don't necessarily need the 8s for the batteries to work. They both work with the batteries. They both allow solar to remain online in an outage. They both allow solar to recharge the batteries with excess production. The difference is that the 7 has a limitation on how many panels can be paired to a battery. It's roughly 1.5 to 1 PV to storage ratio. So for a 10 kilowatt-hour battery, you can roughly have 15 kilowatts of PV. Any extra PV is going to be shed when the grid goes down. The 8 gets rid of that because it's so much faster processing. It can actually taper off its production in real time, which means that you can keep your entire solar system online, even if you only have a small battery. So you could have, in theory, a 25 kilowatt solar system with a 3 kilowatt-hour battery, and the whole thing's going to remain online. Also, it theoretically allows sunlight only backup without any storage. I think that's a pretty terrible idea, and here's why. I always suggest put at least the 3.36 kilowatt-hour battery on here. You can see this is a screenshot of my home usage, and obviously, yes, this is regular usage connected to the grid. That you can see during the day, or during the nighttime, I'm sorry, I'm pulling from the grid. During the day, as I'm producing, I'm sending back. But each of these spikes, I need to pull from the grid momentarily for a start surge. If I had sunlight only, every single time that I cross over this threshold, the system's going to crash. And I know before you say something, sunlight only, we're not going to have air conditioners or things causing this, but you have to build this system for worst case scenario. You have to build it for, it's going to be a little bit cloudy out. It's not always perfect blue sky sunlight. And anything, a refrigerator is probably the first thing people want to back up. It has a compressor. You're going to get little spikes. And if you're early in the day, late in the day, or it's cloudy and you cross over what you're producing in real time, the system's going down. Now it will restart, but anytime the system crashes on its own, first of all, it's not good for your electronics. It's also going to probably annoy your customer. Just set realistic expectations when you're selling this. Flip side, you add that 3.36, that small battery, it only costs a little bit more. It's going to be able to handle these very short duration spikes in output. And then, like I said, you can use the load controller to help shed some things. So that way, you're not worried about larger loads at night and things like that. As far as deal making, how do you sell these? They're not cheap. They certainly aren't for everyone, as much as I like to think so. You have to figure out how much weight customers place in energy security. Do they lose power a lot? Is it a storm prone area? Do they have any special backup needs, medical, et cetera? What would it cost to replace all the food in their fridge, their freezer? This is speaking from experience. Apparently, aquarium fish are really expensive. I just found that one out from somebody who bought batteries just for his aquariums. Little things like that you can find in your fact finding that builds value. You build value, now you know how to pitch this to the customer. It's all individual. Obviously, most of these deals end up being financed. Here, at least, they end up usually being 20 or 25-year finance deals to make a palatable monthly payment. I almost always go Sunnova with these. Big reason for that is the warranty and their absolutely absurd interest rates. But some customers like doing smaller systems with cash. Sometimes they like to pay cash for the battery and finance the solar, vice versa, whatever. You just have to find that out in your exploring. Sunnova has some crazy battery deals, and this is why I use them. So Here, at least in Florida, I know they're state by state, they vary a little bit, but if you have a 700, you get 0% financing for 25 years. If you have a 650, you get 1.9% for 25 years. They only currently cover the EnPhase battery. They only allow IQ7s as of right now. You get an all or nothing approval for 150 grand. That's really big on these, because how many times have you built a system, and let's make up a number, it comes out to 83,000. You do a regular financing application, they're approved for 75,000. Now what do you do? Also, and this is the biggest thing with Sunnova, they have Platinum Protect included. 25-year bumper to bumper warranty. It includes the battery. So, just to put it in perspective, these batteries are warranted for 10 years. They're probably going to fail 12 to 14 years. That's about the expected lifespan, depending how you use it. They're going to get replaced in 25 years. I can just about guarantee it. So when you do this, make sure to add $2,350 for each 10 kilowatt hour battery to either the battery cost or the system cost, or it will get deducted from your margin. This goes into a fund, which is actually going to pay for their battery replacement. They're anticipating that they're going to replace the battery. And also, when you do this, you don't need solar insure. You're doing another warranty, so that helps to cut down on the price as well. And finally, Sunnova doesn't impact your DTI as long as the customer stays in good standing. They don't report it as a loan. So it's, we're talking potentially $150,000 loan. Who wants to go buy a car and explain what that $150,000 loan is? Obviously, they do have the right to report it if you go delinquent or whatever. I will caution you, Sunnova is very manual. It's very easy to mess up if you're inexperienced. The solo integration I have not found to work at all. And I cannot recommend enough working with an experienced Sunnova mentor for your first couple deals. Learn how it works, learn the back end, have a successful project. If you mess things up here, there's big change orders very quickly. It can really hurt your standing with the customer, prevent you from getting referrals, even cause cancellations. So your first couple with Sunnova, definitely work with someone who's used it before. I rushed through this a little bit. I know we were a little short on time. If you want to see the full presentation, I do have it on my YouTube channel, KLN Solar. This is my contact info. Anyone has any questions, always feel free to reach out. I see we've got tons of chats, so let's see what some of these questions are here.
Great job, Mike. I'm going to drop your YouTube in the chat here.
Appreciate it. Let's see. Customer doesn't get the battery at first. Can they add it on later? It depends which way we go. EnPhase, yes, there's going to be some changes in how the wiring is all handled. And again, we're assuming that the batteries get easier to source later on. Currently, nobody's really doing retrofits. That does bring up a good point. Powur's been very, very proactive with sourcing these batteries. I haven't had a single one delayed for battery sourcing, which compared to all of our competitors, that's crazy.
Yeah, just real quick. Yep. EnPhase really gives Powur priority, guys. We sell and acquire the most batteries out of any solar company. Everybody knows, like, Tesla batteries are crap. LG had issues. The Solar Edge is brand new. I heard some may have some defects. So the EnPhase is truly the best, like Mike said in the beginning of his presentation. And hopefully, I'm really pushing that one day we do standalone battery sales. It is not something we do right now at all, but hopefully in the future.
Yep, absolutely. I think we're just going to need to get a little more stable supply, and that should definitely be coming with how many battery plants just in the US are being built for all the car companies right now. How I do a proposal with the battery. So biggest thing I do first is just get to know the homeowner, try and figure out what their priorities are. The solo proposal doesn't really show you anything about the batteries. When I do these through Sunnova, I typically show them the PDF from that one. I think the details are a little better on it. I like the layout of it better. It highlights the benefits, highlights the warranty. There's no, trust me, I included this warranty. It shows it right there. And then I just talk to them. I actually show them my system. Like I said, I have 2 power walls in my house. That was the only game in town when I bought it. But I'll show them my system. I show them how many times I've had outages, how many times it's caught it, things like that.
Mike, I had a private message. Are we selling just the smart switch for daylight backup? And do you know how much that is? And I think you alluded to that you like to include the 3 kilowatt hour with that. But we
Yep.
do just do the smart switch for daylight backup, right?
Yes, yeah. So if you click on EnPhase storage, this is actually one thing that I see a lot of times. People think that doing just the IQ8 gives you sunlight backup, which it does not. You have to include the sunlight backup option under EnPhase storage. That puts in essentially the transfer switch, what's going to disconnect you from the grid. Without that, you will still shut down when the grid goes down. Now, pricing varies by state. Here in Florida, I want to say the sunlight only is like 8,000, 8,500. And if you include the 3, it only goes up to 10,000. So that extra 1,500 is absolutely worth it. I would tell you the only people I've even mentioned the sunlight only to as this is a good idea is people who already have a standby generator, because the EnPhase batteries currently can, and the SolarEdge, it's coming with a software update, they can integrate and control a standby generator. So it would allow you to basically run what you can during the day off the solar, decreasing your fuel consumption. If you have a tank, making that last longer. And then at night, you're just running off the generator. Let's see. Yes, Sunnova could change in the future, and they do reserve the right to report if you go delinquent. Yes, 70%. If it drops below 70%, that's when it gets replaced. Same thing with the manufacturer's warranty. Sunnova is basically just copying the manufacturer warranty and extending it. Let's see. Add 2350. Okay, so you're basically trying to add that to your margin. So if you're doing it through solo, the 2350 is for the battery warranty. So per 10 kilowatt hour battery.
For Sunnova.
Yes, for Sunnova specifically for their warranty. I have seen it a couple proposals. I've seen that as an actual adder, and I saw it and then they went away. So I'm not sure what's going on there. I mentioned I don't even use Solo for my Sunnova projects. I use it to design the system, and then I manually transfer it over to Sunnova's portal because it's been a lot more reliable, and I really don't trust the integration, how they have it right now.
Right.
But you can either add it to the battery price or to the system cost. Regardless, if you don't do it, it's going to come out of your margin, just so you know.
Do you sell that on most Sunnova deals, Mike, the extra coverage?
Yeah, it's that. I mean, it's not even extra coverage with them. It's included. It's just there's no way to opt out of it.
Got it.
It's the Platinum Protect, and that's the battery replacement fund for it.
You guys, really quick, just for what Mike's saying, and it might be going over some of your heads who haven't done a Sunnova deal. Basically, you really need to you need to work with a mentor that's worked with Sunnova, first of all, like he said. But when you're building out the proposal, you're building it in solo to get your base pricing first. Mm-hmm. Then you'll work with your mentor. You'll take those numbers and build it out in Sunnova. And that's where you would add the margin in solo ahead of time to know your margin, what you're getting, what you're making before going in. Correct, Mike?
Yes, absolutely. And sometimes you might be pleasantly surprised when you get the commission as well. I've had a few where it comes out higher than I thought. But yes, you basically, you build it on solo as a cash deal, and then that's where you get your pricing from. But this is something that you absolutely should work with somebody on, at least one or two, just to see the process. For example, the places that still have the Q-Cell 400, if you pick Q-Cell on Sunnova and you click the drop down, there's probably 10 or 15 different 400 watt panels. And if you pick the wrong one, you're going to be doing a change order. Ivan, battery compatible with the SolarEdge inverter? Yes, it is. It has to be the 7600 energy hub. And that's something that, you can have more than one of it if you need. If you had a 15 kilowatt system, you'd have 2 of them, and so on. And currently it's 2 batteries per 7600 energy hub. It's going up to 3 within the next couple of weeks with a software update.
Mike, just to be specific, the SolarEdge battery is what you're referring to. The EnPhase cannot be paired with.
Correct. Yes, they have to be matched. So SolarEdge battery will not work with EnPhase inverters, and EnPhase battery will not work with SolarEdge inverters. You have to pick and choose.
Perfect. Thank you.
Would it be better to work with Powur Mentor and reach out to EnPaper support? I'm not sure what that means.
EnPhase,
James.
maybe.
EnPhase support. So when I'm saying Sunnova Mentor, I'm saying a Powur Mentor that is experienced in Sunnova. The support, I think your best bet is just to have somebody kind of walk through a deal or two with you. And like Jarrett was saying, that's the best way to learn this stuff is by experience and by doing a couple. Let's see. Oh, typo, EnPhase, yes. Am I selling a particular Sunnova product or lease? I steer away from leases. I pretty much only bring up a lease for somebody who doesn't qualify for a tax credit. Again, I'm dealing almost exclusively in Florida. They're not particularly popular. We don't have PPAs or anything like that here. They're legal. So basically for our batteries, we have the 2 interest rates, and which one I'm selling is determined on their credit score.
I'll just comment on that, Nick. In California, the easy PPA, or if it's a battery, it has to be a lease. So we can sell an attractive lease with a battery in California, no escalator or escalator. And if a lease is going to include a battery replacement because it's a third party owned, it's owned by Sunnova. So leases can make sense with or without batteries in California when it applies.
Yeah. And for the right people, like Larry said, if they're retired, if for whatever reason they don't ever get, they have no tax liability, that's when a lease can come in handy, because otherwise the price shoots through the roof, after your 18 months when you don't get a tax credit. Jarrett, the IQ8 is not currently on Sunnova. We're working with them. They're going to do a couple pilot projects with it first before a broad rollout.
So what you're saying is maybe a few months from now.
I'm saying about a month ago, I thought it was imminent. So I'm not sure the timing. I know it's in the process. It's kind of a hurry up and wait kind of thing.
But if you're selling batteries, like Mike said, I mean, IQ7s work just fine with it. You'll actually save a few bucks on it. It's not the end of the world until then.
And I'll point this out too. With the exception of a large solar system with a small battery, the biggest advantage that I see to the 8 is keeping extra solar online, not shedding the excess. And if you're doing a 20 or 30 kilowatt hour battery, you're probably not shedding much, if anything, unless you're building a truly massive system. So in that case, there's not really any actually performance difference.
Do you think that there's any benefit to selling an IQ8 on a 30 kWh battery system? Like, I mean, is it necessary at all?
Only if we're talking like, one of those ground mounts that Jonathan likes to install out by you guys with that looks like a commercial power plant.
The ground mount king over here?
Yeah. If we're talking just a truly massive system, like I mentioned before, people who already have generators, an 8 with a small battery is an awesome idea. It functions like a diesel electric type relationship where the generator will run at a steady RPM, its most efficient rep range. And then the battery handles your peaks. And in something like that, the 8 would be awesome because it's going to keep your whole system on, even though you only have a 3 or a 10. If we're building a big battery to do a true battery only backup system, there's not a whole lot of advantage to it right now. Let's see, IQ8 for daylight backup without a battery. Yes, you still need the switch. Cost depends on your state. It's about $8,000 or $8,500 here in Florida. Click on adders, EnPhase storage, and then sunlight only. But I cannot emphasize enough. The only exception I can think of is maybe some of you in Southern California, where from what I hear, it's 70 and sunny always. And, your power goes out because the government decided to turn it off. For you guys, that might make a little bit of sense. Everywhere that I'm used to dealing, power goes out because of storms. And when there's storms, you usually don't have good sunlight anyways. So my opinion is that but true battery or true sunlight only backup, you're just setting people up for disappointment. Let's see, walk a fine line where someone hardly ever gets outages, may increase in the future, peace of mind. Yeah, so that's something where if you give them a price, you make the finances work out. You can, one thing I talk about a lot is how much it costs to replace the food in their fridge or their freezer, or if you see they have a big aquarium, or you see they have chest freezers or whatever. Another thing that I didn't mention in this one, if you have somewhere that's trying to gut net metering, trying to gut the buyback rate, like the law they're currently pushing in Florida, sure, they'll be grandfathered in for 10 years. But if you're not really sending your power back, if you're storing it and using it yourself, then you don't really care what the buyback rate is. So you're kind of future-proofing them against the government. You're making them more self-sustaining, I guess would be the way to put it. Let's see. Sunnova will have a full shade study. Yes, it does. Sunnova will have a change order for literally anything. So that's something that you want to set up an expectation with your customer. I've had some where, like you said, the shade was less than Solo thought. Brand new houses, no shading whatsoever. Solo will never go below 3% by default. And shade study came back, said that they had 100% sunlight, and the customer got a giant email saying, subject line, change order, signature required. And even though it was good news, hey, you're going to make more power. And this was a purchase, not a PPA. So the price didn't change, nothing changed, but they're making more power. They still got scared because they got an email saying change order. So just, set that up. I like to make the analogy that Sunlight and GoodLeap are kind of like a car loan. You apply, you get approved, they write a check. That's about the extent of it. Sunnova is kind of like a construction loan. They're involved with checkpoints all the way along the road. And Jarrett, I'm sorry for completely butchering the mortgage industry there.
Mike, how long have you been in solar?
Me?
Yeah.
3 years.
3 years?
Yep.
You're running circles around my head right now. Great work. Super impressive. Super impressive.
Appreciate it.
Well,
anybody else have some questions?
I think I'm going to end this recording. We'll do any questions, any topics here in just a second, but huge shout out to Mike, everyone. Follow his YouTube, hit him up, Florida, Sunnova particular. I'm sure he'd pretty much take anywhere, but Mike, we super appreciate your leadership, your positive attitude, always constructive, pushing through. You're kicking ass, my friend. So thank you so much.
Thank you, brother.
Yep. Appreciate it.